I'm a zoologist, and I love a lot of animals that you hate, like snakes, rats, and sharks. I'm a zoologist, and if I happen to work at a zoo and I have a day off, chances are I will use my day off to visit another zoo. I'm a zoologist, and my favorite animal changes every month, although that might also be because I'm neurodivergent. I'm a zoologist, and I will ruin your favorite animals by telling you all sorts of disgusting and problematic facts about them. I'm a zoologist. Of course I have animal apparel. I'm a zoologist, and there are animals I legitimately do not like. I'm a zoologist, and no, I do not know everything there is to know about every animal on the planet. There's around 8.7 million species, for God's sakes! Aloha, mammals. I had a very interesting weekend. I noticed my cringy little zoologist video blew up. Was not expecting that. Got a whole batch of followers. Thank you for being interested in that. I wish other videos did that successfully. I noticed that this question kept coming up in the comments quite a bit. So many of you have just flooded my comments asking me, how do I become a zoologist? How do I become a zoologist? So, the purpose of this video is to answer that question, because there's no way I can answer all the DMs I've been getting. I'm going to go into a little bit about my journey, and then I'm going to go into more detail about how you actually become a zoologist. But first, some things about me. If you are new to my channel, hello there. My name is Issy. I'm known as Issy the Scribe, and I often refer to myself as a VPZ. I'm a voiceover, I'm a poet, and I'm a zoologist, which is why the majority of you are here. My journey into this was not a conventional one, okay? Because I did not do any kind of science-based degree at undergrad or even at A-levels, okay? So I actually have 2 degrees. I have a master's degree in wild animal biology, which is how I became an official certified zoologist, and I have an undergrad degree in politics. Don't ask me why. This is also a degree that I never used because after months of looking for political type jobs, I was miserable. And then after a failed stint at being a software tester, I did a whole 180 on my career trajectory and decided to go into work with animals. The master's degree came much later, a few years down the line, because what started me off on my journey was a short course at London Zoo at the time. This was round about, I think, 2008, 2007. And they had a short course on animal ecology and conservation. I did the course, and then I ended up volunteering there for about over a year in their outreach department, which sadly no longer exists. I was going out into schools and leading educational sessions with live animals like ferrets, corn snakes, bearded dragons, and lots of invertebrates. It was one of the most enjoyable voluntary experiences of my life. So for a lot of you asking this question, your first port of call is to basically study some sort of animal-related discipline or course. Now, that's usually going to be a degree of some kind in zoology, biology, ecology, or environmental science. There are also branches of zoology that you can specialize in. I'm very much a generalist. I look at all species, but if you do have a particular bend towards a particular species, you can specialize. So if you're into birds, you can become an ornithologist. If you're into bugs, that's entomology. If you like fish, you can become an ichthyologist or a marine biologist. Or if you're into reptiles and amphibians, that's where you get into herpetology and become a herpetologist. And then mammals, mammalogist, which is probably what I would have been if I had chosen to specialize. The bulk of my experience as a zoologist has taken place largely in zoos in the area of education and communication, because those are my superpowers. Now, in terms of your options as to working as a zoologist, your only option is not just the zoo. I know not everybody vibes with zoos. You can work in academia. You can work in research out in the field. You can work in education, or even things like media and entertainment. I've done a little bit of TV work as well. A few years ago, I appeared on an episode of BBC Autumn Watch, which is a nature program here in the UK. And I also won an award. I was really, really proud of it. As well as doing a degree in an animal-based science, I would also recommend volunteer work, working with animals in some sort of capacity, whether on a farm, in a zoological collection, an aquarium, or even a pet shop, or even just if you have friends who have a farm, getting some sort of practical experience with wild or domesticated animals is going to really help or even just volunteering and working with people, basically interacting with people and educating and talking to them about the natural world. That is something that's also been super helpful. That's been the bulk of my voluntary experience, whether it's been in an informal education setting, talking to school kids, or in a zoological setting, talking to the public about wildlife and conservation. Now, it's not enough to simply be interested in zoology or even just a particular branch of zoology. So it's not enough to say, oh, I really like reptiles. That's great. But you also have to think about what your superpowers are. Now, what do I mean by this? Are you skilled in research? Are you skilled in communication? Is it animal husbandry? Is it education? Is it, media? Those are the sorts of skills that you also need to have, as well as having an interest in a particular species or a range of species. Now, in terms of discovering what your superpowers are, that's hopefully typically going to happen as you do your degree or your course. When I was doing my master's in wild animal biology, I found out, one of my administrators found out that my strength was actually in communication when I did a really great presentation on the management of hippopotamidae, hippos in captivity. And when he picked up on that, I was like, I think he might have a point with this. I'm going to run with that. And most of my science communication career has been rooted in communication. I used to be an explainer at the London Science Museum. I'm doing content creation now. I've done TV work. I do voiceover work. All of that is encompassed within my interest and my qualification as a zoologist. So that's how I found out what my superpowers were within communication and education. So it's some animal-based experience and an animal science-based animal degree. Once you've done that, you will be well on your way to becoming a zoologist. Now, here's the brass tacks. The job market for this is very niche and it is ridiculously competitive, because when it comes to any kind of animal-based discipline, a lot of people want to do this. I struggled for years to try to find work, and pretty much most of the work that I got within the animal field was temporary. It was all seasonal. It was all contract work. It was just, none of it was permanent and solid. This is a very tough industry. I've also worked in a range of different environments because of my degree. I've worked in zoos, I've worked in museums, and I've worked in universities. So as you do your degree, start to think about what your superpowers might be, and also where you can see yourself working. Do I want to work in museums and zoos? Do I want to work out in the field doing field work? Do I like research? Do I want to work in a lab and, discover stuff in that way? So those are the sorts of things that you have to think about within the field of zoology. So that's a little bit about my journey and my advice to you guys about how to get into the field of zoology. I hope it's been helpful in some capacity. Obviously, your journey will look nothing like mine because you're not me, but you will have your own unique path into all of this. But I hope I've been able to give you some kind of framework as to how to get into this. I hope that's helped. Thank you to all the new followers who are here, and stick around. It's going to get a lot more fun. Goodbye.